What's up, guys? Sleepy here, and today I just wanted to talk about this. More like a side video off of everything else that I'm doing. I just thought all this stuff was kind of interesting coming together. This says Famitsu DS Wii teases announcement of big game. It's like a magazine in Japan. Famitsu DS Wii, and it's mostly Nintendo. Obviously, it's Nintendo based. It says here, the latest edition of Famitsu DS Wii has started to make its way out to readers in Japan. There's a noteworthy inclusion in the magazine. Towards the end, there is a tease regarding a big announcement about a major upcoming title for Nintendo systems. Sadly, there isn't much said about this, but we'll be hearing about it in the next issue. I don't know if this actually relates to what I'm about to get into, but I just thought it was kind of interesting to me. Basically, this is just saying something's coming, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything that I'm about to talk about. This is just kind of saying, like, these things are out here right now. What I'm trying to get into is this. This is Joe M. You probably know him as Cerebi, the guy who runs Cerebi. He was talking on a forum, and I just happened to pick up on some of this stuff. It says, he was talking about speculation on a new game. A lot of people were talking about it, not just him, but he obviously has a little more access to things. And I don't know how to explain. He runs a huge Pokemon account thing. Huge Pokemon website. So, he says, what do you mean they're hiding more than Hoopa Unbound? And then he says, I meant that there are merchandise sell sheets. They always hide Pokemon forms characters that haven't been revealed yet, or they don't want to reveal yet. So he has access to, obviously, these merchandising sheets. And these sheets often have, like, these blank characters that he talks about here. He says, the one I was shown this morning, I don't think I can post it for legal reasons, which is fine, had 8 slots. One was Pikachu, one was Hoopa Confined, which is Hoopa's normal form, the little form, and then there was character A, B, C, D, E, and D again. 2 merchandise for character D. Could that just mean they're hiding various things for weird reasons? As it does happen, but it raised eyebrows. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, what if they're just, like, being weird? Well, they often did this in the past. If you look here, this was for Mega Mewtwo before he was released. They did this merchandise sheet that had his watch. I don't know why they're advertising a watch for him, but it had his watch, like, blacked out. And they did this, they do this all the time. This was for Sky Shaman here. Shaman Sky form from the Giratina movie. And then this was for Zoroark and Zorua. Back before they were announced. Remember, they were announced early on in 5th gen, way before 5th gen. So then that kind of brings us back to this. And this is A, B, C, D, E, and D again. Now, obviously, I don't know what you're thinking, but in my thoughts, D and D could be 2 Zygarde forms. One of these other ones, I don't actually know, though, because he doesn't say exactly what these cell sheets were for. Whether they were for the new movie coming out, which comes out in July, which obviously will focus on Hoopa Unbound. I don't believe that Hoopa Unbound is, has anything to do with the next games. I believe he's very relevant in Oros. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I think he has a presence there, and he's going to be given out. Because once you have a Hoopa in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, the guy will give you a bottle. It's not even like Latios, Mega Latios, where the stones were even hidden further than they already were. Like, you can just go and get it once you have a Hoopa, and they're probably going to give a Hoopa out with the movie. They're not giving Hoopa out yet because of Unbound Hoopa. They haven't revealed it yet, but it's going to be in the movie. It's quite obvious that it's going to be in the movie. They even talk about the forbidden bottle or whatever in the movie. So, basically, I think one of these is Unbound Hoopa. Now, it says Pikachu and Hoopa Confined were one of these characters. And whether or not this is for the movie is actually a pretty big deal, because otherwise, these other characters could be something really important. Okay, this could be the next games, theoretically, if these merchandising sell sheets are to advertise them. I mean, it's very clear in the game's data, there's 2 moves that I have showcased on my channel that are clearly for Zygarde. They're called 1,000 Arrows, 1,000 Waves. 1,000 Arrows is a ground-type move that hits flying-type Pokemon. 1,000 Waves is a ground-type move that has a trapping effect. Now, these kind of seem like they're intended for Zygarde to hit Yveltal and Xerneas. And the fact that there's 2 moves makes me believe there's 2 forms. Not a Mega or Primal form of Zygarde, because you don't learn moves that way. Although Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre do have those moves that they gained in these new games. But that's not my point. My point is that I believe it's not... Maybe it could be Primal, actually. Now that I'm really thinking about it, it maybe could be Primal. I'm kind of feeling 2 forms, though. 2 Zygarde forms. I don't know why he would have 2 Primals. That doesn't even make sense to me. But I definitely think that one of these could be Zygarde's forms, D and D. That makes the most sense to me. But I don't actually know. Another one of these is obviously Unbound Hoopa. And if we think about the remaining things, if this is for a potential Z, these right here could easily be Mega or Primal Arceus. Theoretically, maybe not. Maybe they're just blank Megas that are coming out in the new games. This could also be the case, but as we've seen with Mega Mewtwo, they could just be Megas that they're going to showcase, or they could be more important, maybe Primal Xerneas and Yveltal. Maybe Xerneas and Yveltal will also get forms, but the fact that Zygarde only has 600 base stat total kind of makes it seem like he's made to get forms, and the 2 moves that were found in the game kind of furthers that point. So I definitely think the 2 forms are Zygarde. Or I could be completely wrong. But this is something I just like to talk about. I really just like talking about like theories and stuff like this. Now I have this other stuff. I believe, yeah, okay, there. I believe I have this one. Now Joe says here, these people say, so are the expectations for more Megas or new Pokemon after Volcanion? Volcanion is also obviously a choice. I believe Volcanion is going to be big in Z because they talk about the Lava Dome Pokemon. Okay, get this. Remember in Lumiose, they talk about the Lava Dome, saying it could potentially be the one causing blackouts, or they say they've seen it in Lumiose. Lava Dome is Heatron. Heatron represents melting metal, obviously. That's what he is. He's melting metal. Volcanion is boiling water. They are counterparts. They both have the same kind of stats. They both have the same kind of reasons. I don't know, but we can read through this real quick. Here's my theory for the next 2 years. No new game this year. He does not think we're going to get a new game in 2015. And that's pretty interesting. But, they have been doing yearly releases. But let's just read his theory, because obviously he thinks about this a lot. I'm sure he's being entirely based on Pokemon. Hoopa Unbound being an Oros and access just by having Hoopa, not just extra code like Megalodius, as I mentioned earlier, removes all promotional possibilities for a new game this year, as they would have done with every Pokemon movie in a year that has had a game since Gen 3. Hoopa Unbound being available to players who use Hoopa in Oros just removes that capability. So he's essentially saying, this kind of Hoopa being in Oros and Hoopa Unbound being in Oros and accessible through a mart so easily removes the ability of them to release Hoopa Unbound as promotional material for the next games, as they have quite often in the past. Unless there's a third form or Hoopa unlocks something in the new game. He says it's possible. I don't see it being likely. I doubt there's a third form. That wouldn't really make sense to me either. New game revealed later this year for February 2016 launch. He says Gen VI game, so still 6th Gen, focused on Zygarde due to the moves Zygarde has in the coding of XY Oros. That game is likely to feature new Mega Evolutions. Obviously, as each game in 6th Gen has introduced new Mega Evolutions. In February 2016, Volcanion will receive its official reveal tied into the movie for 2016, which undoubtedly features Zygarde. And this is something I've actually talked about on Twitter before. I definitely think the 2016 movie is going to be Zygarde versus Volcanion. It just makes sense. They're the two that haven't been featured yet. They threw Xerneas and Yveltal into the Diancie movie. Honestly, I don't completely understand why, but let's keep reading. Then we'll have a large gap culminating in the announcement of Generation 7 with new Pokemon at the start of 2017, releasing in the autumn of 2017. As they do often, they release it in the fall. Every year it seems to be a game in the fall. Had people ask me if Arceus being in the movie and as the distribution impacted my theory, but that means absolutely nothing other than the fact now we have a Gen 6 native Arceus and a shiny Arceus. They could use them to promote the new games if there are some, sure, but it's not likely. Now, I will go to this, and then I will explain more of this. Recently, in the past, if I recall correctly, you were theorizing the next game will be a Kanto title, be it a remake or sequel or what have you. If the theory is sound, does this mean that you have heard lines up with this? No, my theory is still a game based on Zygarde, and I'm still thinking February 2016 release. Due to Hoopa Unbound being an Oros and thus not being able to promote a game due out this autumn as they have done every year, 2004... It's just with merchandise, they're hiding a lot more things than they should, a lot more than just Hoopa Unbound. Plus, Masuda and Morimoto did an interview or something with for Famitsu this week. That's what I talked about earlier. That was the first picture. It's probably nothing, though. It often happens, but it raises an eyebrow. Especially if I saw a recent one, it was Hoopa on it, which has 5 hidden characters. I stand by my theory, though, no new game this year. One revealed September-ish for launch on 20th anniversary, and will be the last Gen VI game with the Gen 7 starting in 2017. Okay. This is the Famitsu thing I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Where I want to go with this. Basically, I believe the movie is definitely going to tie Zygarde and Volcanion together. I believe Volcanion is definitely, as he said, going to be tied into the promotional material for the next games. And it's probably going to be Z or XZ, YZ, or some combination of extra game. Zygarde is probably going to get new forms. And the Famitsu thing just makes it seem like this is coming sooner rather than later. The way he explains it seems like we're going to get this announcement. I mean, obviously, people are like, take your time with the Pokemon games. I don't want them as yearly releases because then they won't be as good. And they have been doing this year kind of 4-year model with games. I think since Generation 3, every generation has been 4 years long. So it just kind of all adds up to the fact that he is kind of making sense. I don't know if I agree with the whole February release thing, because that seems a little oddball for them. But I could see them delaying it a year. And the way I could see them doing this is if they made more spin-offs, which they haven't really done in Gen 6. If they do more spin-offs, they could... I don't know. I feel like they could extend the life. People are getting bored of Pokemon. That's obviously become apparent, especially in the community recently. Not saying that Pokemon is becoming worse, but I'm saying people seem... Oros only kind of perpetuated the XY fever. XY was great. It was 3D, and it was a lot of fun, but Oros just feels like an extension of that rather than a new game. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I love Oros. I love Hoenn. But it just feels like it didn't add enough, I want to say. Exactly. I want to say that I want Z or XZYZ or whatever the next game is to be like a Black 2, White 2, where it really feels like it was like... It's like they took it and then bulked it up in a different way. And it's kind of hard to explain that. But... basically, where I'm going with this is I think a Pokemon game is going to be announced sooner rather than later. And that's pretty much my whole update video. You're probably thinking, why did you even make this video? I just thought, I talked about this last night, and everyone was like, source. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll make a video on it. So I decided to make a video on it. And I am just using Windows Photo Viewer to do this. To kind of look through it easily, look through my images. But this is the way I like to talk, is just looking at these images and explaining myself. I just feel like, I don't know, I have fun with these kind of videos, and I hope you guys enjoyed this speculation, mostly based on Joe's, obviously, but I'm just throwing all these ideas out there, and I really want to know what you guys think. I want some opinions from you guys. I want to know what your ideas are. Sources will be in the description, and I will see you guys later. So thanks for checking out my video, and I will see you guys later. I just said that. Peace out, home slices.